we're going to move on to the next talk. We have Mohan from India's coming in and talking about harvesting of data from DOAJ and OJS and VuFind with reference to SDI service. I'm going to continue being the moderator until the break, and then we're probably going to have a quick technical break so that way we don't lose any of the recordings of any of the talks. But with that, I will pass it over to Mohan. Mohan, are you able to share your screen and everything? Great. Thank you very much.
Now you are hearing?
Yes.
Yes. My topic is harvesting of open data sources with VuFind software packages. So what is open data sources? Open data sources is the idea that should be freely available to everyone to use and republish as they wish without restrictions for copyright, patents, or other mechanisms of control. It is just like the open source software. In open source softwares, you can use the software, you can modify the softwares without the consent of the authors. The same principles is applied in open data source also. The data may come from any source, but here I have broadly divided into three categories, the open source data. In science, the concept of open access to scientific data was institutionally established with the formations of the World Data Center system in preparation for the International Geophysical year of 1957 to 1958. The International Council of Scientific Unions, now the International Council for Science, oversees several world data centers with the mandate to minimize the risks of data loss and maximize the data accessibility. There are a range of different arguments for government open data. Another source is the government data. For example, some advocates contend that making government information available to the public as machine readable open data can facilitate government transparency, accountability, and public participation. Some make the case that opening up official information can support technological innovations and economic growth by enabling third parties to develop new kinds of digital applications and services. And another one of the open data sources, the non-profit organizations. Many non-profit organizations offer more or less open access to their data as long it does not undermine their users, members, or third parties' privacy rights. In comparison to for-profit corporations, they do not seek to monetize their data. And there are many arguments being made regarding the regarding the benefit of the open data. The arguments which is for the open data are as follows. Arguments made on behalf of open data include the following. Data belongs to the human race. Typical examples are genomes, data on organisms, medical science, environmental data following the Eros Convention. Public money was used to fund the work, and so it should be universally available, especially in the case of government open data. It was created by or at a government institutions. This is common in US national laboratories and government agencies. Facts cannot legally be copyrighted. Sponsors of research do not get full value unless the resulting data are freely available. Restrictions on data reuse create an anti-commons. Data are required for the smooth process of running communal human activities and are on important enabler of socio-economic development, healthcare, education, economic productivity, etc. In scientific research, the rate of discovery is accelerated by better access to data. Making data open helps combat data rot and ensure that scientific research data are preserved over time. Statistically, literacy benefits from open data. Instructors can use locally relevant data sets to teach statistical concepts to their students. Open data in the context of developing countries, because I am representing the developing countries. So what is the use of the open data in the context of developing countries? In developing countries, most of the development reports and research related reports are in gray literature form. Most of these will never be published and accessible from commercial channel. These are the reports which actually charts the country's development and solutions to the local problems are incorporated in the gray literature form. Considering these facts, many organizations has taken initiative in disseminating data through open data sources. For disseminating open data sources, standards have been developed to promote interoperability to aim to facilitate the efficient disseminations of content. The widely used interoperability standard is OAI-PFS. VuFind adopts this standard for harvesting data. Now, if there is already a data, why VuFind should harvest the data? Because there is already open data published by different organizations. So the questions comes when there is already a system of disseminating open data, why there is a need of harvesting data from open data sources. There are some of the reasons for harvesting data from open data sources. The first thing is the email alerts. Starting with release 6.1, VuFind supports selective disseminations of information, which we call, from the librarian point of view, SDI services. Users can subscribe to searches and receive notification in the form of regular email alerts when new records appear in those result sets. And the another reason is the record citations and export to bibliography management softwares, because in these open data sources, this type of facilities are not available, and then people have to do the citations by hand or by typing. And then get RSS feed when something new appears. This is a screenshot being taken from the VuFind software being installed and tested with this harvesting of the DOAJ database. Now comes giving this brief backgrounds and the reasons why harvesting has to be done for the open data sources in VuFind. What we have done in the next piece. As a pilot test, we are harvesting open sources data from DOAJ and OJS. A prototype design is being made with DOAJ as a test. And as a test, it has harvested 5,596 articles. So this is the data which has been harvested from DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journals. So I have just told, so this much data as a test phase we have harvested from DOAJ. So the configurations which we have done, I am not going in details regarding the OAI because the other participants, other presenters are going in technical details regarding the OAI INI. So I have just given a snapshot of the OAI INI. And then for harvesting the data, we have used this command, PHP harvest until 2020, because it is 2021. So we have limited up to 2020, and this timeline we have given. And then the command which we have used for etc. Because the other participants are also going in detail, technical details regarding this. The other parts which we have planned to harvest the data is the open journal systems. This is an open source software application for managing and publishing scholarly journals, especially in the developing countries, which is being used. In developing countries, it was initiated by INAF's UK. Currently, journals online project through the software OAS is running under 8 developing countries supported by INAF. One of them is Nepal for Nepal. And we are trying to harvest the data from Nepal. Public access. Our objective is to develop a publicly accessible server harvested in VuFind so that people from all over the world can access the data, have SDI services, RSS service, and export reference of their choice. Because there are so many reference tools being used, so they can choose according to their choice. First, we will concentrate on DOAJ and relevant developing countries using OJS. In our case, we will be concentrating on Nepal. We have also planned to incorporate other open data sources. Summary. VuFind as a software is providing not only software but services. So DOAJ, harvesting of data from DOAJ is also a kind of services which we are providing and planning to be used globally. And we are also providing the training, support services, and field tested documents to empower the library professionals and services to the users. So questions?
Thank you very much. I'm looking at the Q&A and at the chat, and there's no questions at the moment, but I'm sure people are still formulating their thoughts and pulling things together.
So if there is any questions. And then I would also like to thank to Damien's for providing the technical support for harvesting the data from the DOAJ.
Always glad to help.